We're live. Hello, everybody. Elida Zweidler-McKay here with Engaging Leadership, where we're all about helping you become an engaging leader and lead your people through changes and challenges, and also be the kind of leader that people want to promote and take forward in your career. I'm so excited to have with me today Jennifer Dean, who is one of my clients who completed the Engaging Leadership program with me. Jennifer is the Dean of Library Sciences and Instructional Technology at the University of Detroit Mercy. And we're just going to have a conversation about her experiences and let her share some of her wins and some of her progress as she's really taken her career forward over the last several months. So Jennifer, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Elida. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so I'd love to get started by just giving people a little bit of context about you and kind of what were some of the challenges that you were facing before we started working together? What drew you to thinking about working with a coach?
Well, it was something I'd been thinking about for a while. I had a good friend and colleague who I knew had worked with a leadership coach. I had been in my position here at Detroit Mercy for, I was coming up on 5 years. I was about 6 months from the 5-year mark. It was not my first time in a leadership position, but this position as dean was probably the biggest and most complex leadership position. And it was the summer. We were in the midst of a pandemic. I knew the fall was coming and I was feeling overwhelmed. And some of it was the pandemic, but some of it was just the same old challenges that I'd been feeling. And I think I described them to you as my chaos machine. And I thought, oh, here I was. And I was talking to my husband and he was going, oh boy, and I thought, I got to talk these things out with someone. And I just happened to be doom scrolling on Facebook and I happened to see ZM Coach. And I thought, you just hit all of my buttons. And I thought, you know what, I can give this a few minutes of my time. Why not, why not give myself some time and see what more is here? Just everything that you talked about. And I'm trying to think now what those things were, but I thought you just hit you hit every button that the things that you had, it was like 5 things. Here are 5 things you can do now. And they were things that made sense to me. And then I thought, yeah, I can do that. And I felt better immediately, even just listening to the presentation. And I said, I am going to book a call. So it just felt less chaotic hearing from your voice was so calm. And it was, these are things you can do right now. And I said, I can do these right now. So I think those were really the high points. And because it made sense to me, it was something I knew I could do. It was something I knew others that I respected had done. And it was just the right time in my career.
Yeah, timing makes so much sense. Yeah. And just to put it in perspective, so remind me how big, and let the listeners know, like, how big is your team? What was that you were stepping into in this role?
Sure. So Detroit Mercy, we're not the biggest, but I'd call us a smallish institution. We're about 5,000 FTE, which in higher ed speak is full-time equivalent in terms of students. So, that's not right. It's not full-time equivalent. Yes, it is. Full-time equivalent in terms of students. So our team here in the library, our libraries, and at the time the instructional design studio was about 30 people. Mm-hmm. And we had the instructional design studio, the McNichols campus library, and the dental library. So 3 different organizations. We had, 3 associate deans and a director of the dental library was our immediate leadership team. I was also president of and still just finishing that up, president of the Michigan Library Association. I was chairing another group. I had, my sort of professional commitments. There were just a lot of different teams I was leading. But coming back just to my job, there were a lot of different roles that I was trying to navigate. And then on top of all of that, trying to plan I knew that reopening the library, we were closed at that time. Yes. I think that was another big piece, that in the midst of this horrible pandemic, and what a terrible time, but here was this opening, this moment of, you have a moment of quiet, you've got to do some things differently, but you also have a minute to take some time and study for yourself. Yeah. So take advantage of it. Yeah. But yes, so coming back to, 2 buildings, so 2 libraries, involved in that space. So that gives you a sense. But yeah, 30 people ultimately in our libraries and instructional design studio team were involved. And prior to coming here, the biggest team I'd led was 6 people total. So that's a pretty big jump.
Right.
And going from director to dean,
Yeah.
it's that wouldn't necessarily mean much to everybody, but they really are different roles. And here on this campus, I like to say, hey, we're all the same, but there is some meaning. There's things expected of deans that aren't necessarily expected of directors. And that's something I've had to grow up into that role. And that was another thing that I was looking for too, that executive presence, how to think about, what does this mean now that I'm in this dean role? That was another issue that I was looking to help myself grow into.
Got it. So it was really a change in expectation level, and then also a change in kind of the scope as well as the size of the team.
Exactly.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. So we started working together. We had a really great phone call, and you decided to jump in, and we started working together. What were some of your early wins? Like, what were some of the things that made a difference for you right away?
I think the things I was really looking for were developing confidence and helping me develop clarity. And you can hear me here right now, slowing down, thinking about my words. I remember talking with you and just, this word jumble would just come out of me. And it still wants to come out of me that way. So I am disciplining myself. I knew that I was struggling with confidence partly because I would feel like I know what to do, but it doesn't feel like it's going right. And so what do I do? And I know just having you to talk to, having the others on the calls to talk to, and hearing, oh, I'm not alone. I mean, I knew I wasn't, but sometimes you don't have, and you can't talk to you can, but you can't talk to your other colleagues. You can, but you can't talk to your supervisor. In my case, my provost. You can, but you can't talk to people at work, and your external colleagues. So I had a safe space, and that was tremendous. And you weren't alone. You had a place you could air some of these things. So that went a long way in helping build confidence. Yeah. Having a place to talk out, like being able to bring, like, here's a situation I'm dealing with. So we would do the form. You would ask us, hey, fill out this form, something you want to bring to the coaching session. Filling out the form, I could get some of the words out there. Sometimes I would delete the words. I wouldn't turn them all into you. So that would help with clarity. What is it you're really doing? Yeah. You would sometimes say, hey, I'm going to stop you. Tell me what's the essence of this. So all of that, I would have all these practices in what's the heart of this problem you're dealing with. So that helped me with the clarity. So those were the two things, confidence and clarity. It gave you a chance, a group, and an opportunity to people to practice with, and a forum for practicing on to even just one situation, but you would learn from that one situation. And you're one person, and say there were 3 people in the group, or maybe one time it would be 6 people in the group. It was magnified because each person in the group had their situation, and you learned from all of them. Wherever we were in the engaging leadership module, you might be in your first session, but they were in their 9th session, and it didn't matter because it all applied and you learned from everything. So yeah, that was both an early win and a win throughout. So
and also part of who you are, to be soaking it up and learning it and practicing and like really diving in with both feet. I so appreciate how you did that right from the beginning and then throughout. That was awesome. Yeah. So tell me, now that you're through it, what have been some of the overall outcomes or results? Like, how has this really moved you forward in terms of your leadership?
I think the continuing confidence is one. And something I think is funny, you think about COVID and I think about shaming. I've been thinking about how, and some of this is just me too, maybe having studied music, people are so afraid sometimes to share the reality of who they are, what they're dealing with. I'm trying to be less afraid of everything. Yeah. And I'll say, I was talking with a friend. Well, that friend is also my leadership coach. And here is something I've practiced. So that I'll just be honest about, here is something I did to improve myself. And maybe, or it might be, I have really struggled with this decision. or it might be, sometimes it's not talking about a struggle. Sometimes it's, I really understand what you're going through.
Yeah.
I wanted to reach out to you because I heard you talking about that situation. And if you want to talk more about that, I've tried to just remember something I remember saying in the group was, there's always more we can learn. There's always more we can do and more we can work on, but we have everything we need right here inside of us. There is no perfect leader. There's no perfect anything, and perfection is a myth. And so, as you say, we got to celebrate the wins, because otherwise we'll beat ourselves to a pulp. Where there's always going to be something we can improve. So you've got to look for the good. And so you are enough right where you are. And if you're struggling, someone else probably is too. So that is a thing I think I've really tried to take from this. And so because I can't always, it's hard for me to be nice to myself, I can be nice to other people. And so that practicing, part of my own practice is practicing on other people. And I'm like, I just said to somebody the other day, I'm going to take this being nice thing, like as far as I can take it, because 50% I could beat up on somebody, 50% I could be like really awesome. And it's going to take about the same amount of energy, but I'm better at being really awesome to somebody. So let's take that really far and see where that goes. So This is getting really, maybe you see where I'm going. I just feel like I'm becoming more of myself, if that makes sense. And I see a model now for that. Going through the coaching helped me see I'm okay and I can follow that down. And when I start to feel that doubt creep in, I can stop it. I can sense it, and I can step in and talk with myself and stop the doubt.
Yeah, because it's just human, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not you specifically.
Yeah.
Human.
And that doubt's okay too, because that doubt is trying to protect me. Right. It's trying to warn me of something, and I can listen to it too, but it all has its place.
Yeah, that's really nice. And then I love how you're translating that into also being available for the people that work with you.
Yeah.
And one of the most powerful things for someone who, like for people who are able to really get to that spot in their own journey where they feel like I am okay, then it's easier to make space for other people to be okay too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to work in a place where I want to work with other people who feel like they're okay, because we're going to be kinder to each other. We're going to do better work.
Yeah.
We're going to bring people to the organization who want to do good work and be kind to others. And, and we did a session here actually on wellness in the workplace. And I found a really interesting, I was asked to, my part was to do the closing remarks. And usually, since we're a Jesuit and Mercy institution, we always often have an opening reflection, which usually will be a poem or a prayer. And I happened to find an article, librarian here, I found an article in a somewhat scholarly journal, but it was written by a nurse and it was on self-care. It was really well done. But it really talked about how we should be celebrating people who care for others and who care for themselves. And it was really, really good. And I had an epiphany that it's like, I liked the article because it recognized that it's not just that we are one person, and we can sometimes tend to fall into shaming ourselves and shaming others. We can be in a culture that can encourage that. Right. And then I had the further epiphany that, but that's natural because the stakes are high. If you're a nurse in a hospital, we're taking care of people. If you're in a higher ed institution, it's people's careers, it's their future. So it's natural for us to be hard on ourselves because it's so important. But again, we can stop. What's happening here? Take a step back. So that's what coaching's done for me. Recognize that, take a step back. Oh no, I must have frozen, but maybe you can still hear me.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
My camera froze. In any case, just recognizing that ability to be able to, let me see if I can start my camera again, being able to recognize what's going on, that building that confidence, being able to stop to get clarity and continue on. That's what coaching has allowed me to do. So
that's great. And I also love that system view that you just brought in, right? That like, there's your part, there's the system, the culture part, and then there's how those two interact with one another. And being able to do that is so powerful, right? Because you can do things differently when you see it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool. Good work figuring that. I love that example.
Yeah. And can I say, as a librarian, I love that everything is research based. I mean, and you have the words. You always give tools, you give resources, you give, here's something you can follow up on. Here's a resource. This is based in research. That means a lot to me too. It's not that I don't trust you. You are amazing. I'll say a bunch of words and you say, that's a system. That's culture. So clarity. I love it.
Right.
You are the real deal too, Elida. So you are a tremendous part of all of this.
Thank you.
And you back it with good research. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you for being part of it. Well, so how has all of this work and the accomplishments and the new insights and the systems perspective and the growing confidence and clarity, how has that made a difference for you more broadly? Has it had an impact beyond work in any way?
Beyond work. That's a great question. I think so. I am still working on that piece because it's definitely made me recognize that I have been kind of terrible to myself. That's not really the right way to put it. That I really am a person so I love my work. So I studied music before I became a librarian, and studying in music is just, you sit in a practice room all day. And I studied music because I really loved playing music. And so, yeah, I guess starting to recognize that, maybe you don't have to always be doing something, you can, and I'm doing it anyway.
Yeah.
I am. So I was saying to my husband, it's not that we need to schedule more time to do things. We need to stop scheduling all of our time, because it's not that we're not meeting our obligations. We're scheduling too many things and then we're too tired. So then we're just not getting them done because nobody could get all that done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So coming to that realization.
Yeah.
So we have some work to do yet, I think. And so recognizing let's set fewer goals for ourselves personally. And then maybe we will achieve more, because right now we're going to do these 40 things on the weekend. Yeah, that's not reasonable, because we're really busy during the week. So maybe we should so I have some work to do there yet. There's so many things that I want to do, and I need to make more time for reflection, more time for sleeping, more time and see, even now, here I am, I'm making it a race already. I have some work to do. I'll just leave it there.
I think this is one of the biggest challenges of the clients I work with are high achievers. And one of the challenges of high achievers is we set a lot of goals for ourselves, put the list out there and that's great, unless we make that a condition of feeling successful.
Yeah.
If they're aspirational, that's one thing. But if it's if I didn't do those 40 things this weekend, then my weekend wasn't successful.
Right.
That's a different thing. So I love that. And we always say, strategy is deciding what you won't do.
Yeah, exactly. I will say, I felt like last weekend was really successful, because I knew Saturday I had a concert and that was fun.
Nice. Congratulations.
And then Sunday, I pretty much just said, I am going to be really lazy. And I was, and that was great. I planned that.
Good. Good job. Good job.
And that was fun.
Yeah.
Although it was interesting, because I posted a little bit. I said, I had a concert and I ate Indian food that I had takeout. And I did feel a little bit, and I actually posted about that on Facebook, and someone said, I wouldn't play live music for all the money in the world. The virus is still out there and people are dying. And I thought, you're right. Thank you for reminding me, because it's still a really hard time. So that was interesting too. So again, bringing all the seriousness of what an interesting time it is. So it's it was really fun to get back to some normalcy, but it's not, it's still a really serious time. And I guess that's another, again, it's coming back to that confidence and clarity, recognizing that the world is still a really hard place. There would have been a time that comment, even coming from someone who I really love, would have just knocked me into a depression. Wow, I'm a terrible person. He's right. Instead, I went, he's right. And yet I'm still okay. I'm going to sit with that. Yeah. And yet I think it's still okay. Yeah. But I probably should be more thoughtful, because what is going on in the world? There are still losses going on, and yet I still have to celebrate for me, and yet I also have to be conscious of the mourning that's going on in the world, because we're not through this pandemic yet. But even when we are, there will still be mourning in the world.
Right.
And so putting the bigger world into perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really that. I mean, what's so great is you're sort of illustrating one of those core ideas of leadership, that like the part and the whole, and how do we take care of the part? So in your case, having this great opportunity to perform again, and like about that, and then also seeing the connection to the whole, and not making either one wrong, but figuring out what is the trade-off and what are the choices. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
And I love that you could take in that difference and not make yourself or them wrong.
Right.
That's so key. And I think that's what's gonna, I mean, if I can stand all the way on my own soapbox for a minute, I think that's what's going to change the world. So tell me, where do you go from here? What's possible for you now that you've got this newfound confidence and clarity and systems perspective and self-acceptance?
Everything. No, I have been really thinking about that, because it's like, okay, so 5 years. And I talk to friends, and there are friends who are like, yeah, I don't want to leave where I am, in terms of a job. I mean, I'm always thinking in terms of a job so often, because they're like, I'm going to stay right where I am. This is where I want to start building I'm staying here. I want to retire having been in this job a long time. And then I think, well, I have a milestone birthday coming up. I feel like maybe I have more moves in me. But would that move be to be something, a bigger job, like a bigger deanship? Or should I think about moving to something smaller where I do have more time to focus on? I loved doing my PhD and doing research, and I don't have a lot of time to do that in this job. So I don't know. It's really fun to think about, as I think about what do I want to do less of, so that I could do more of other things, with reminding that some of the more I want to do is just make time to eat proper meals and sleep enough hours.
Right.
So I think right now it's possible to rethink, and to what is success, and part of it's just that getting older, and getting older, people laugh, right? They're like, but we all are on our own path. Again, that's another thing I have to remind myself. I am one of those people, I feel like I have to justify it. I was just talking with a person I work with, and she was like, Jennifer, you don't have to apologize for who you are. You are this, and it's okay. And I am this, and it's okay. So I'm going to work on that piece too. That's still something I'll continue to work on. It's the wrong word. Think about. Think about. Everything's an opportunity. So I really do feel like I have more ways to think about what I want to do. But I do feel like here in my current position, I do feel like I'm better equipped to deal with the challenges. Certainly haven't changed. They're the same. I've got my same group. I love them. So hi, everybody. If you do happen to see this, I don't know that they will or not, but if they do, so there's lots of good things to work on where I am. But if I were to say, maybe it is time to look at something else, there are many directions I could go in, and any of them would be good. In my personal life, same thing. Like I say, recognizing that one of the most fun things we did during the pandemic, I've just deepened some really wonderful friendships. Right. We would get on and just do fiber arts. I have a good friend who knits, and I crochet. Had such fun, like crocheting. And it's like, I would love to do more of that, which is, and we'd get on Zoom and crochet and knit and yak about stuff. It was really fun. Gosh, I would, like I say, I'd love to do more writing, would love to do more research. I think I love ideas. Do I really want to do it? We'll find out. So
what I love about what you're saying is that I think sometimes people get into this mode where their career has to be one way. If you do this level, and then you do this level, and you do this level. And again, we sort of define success based on somebody else's picture of it. And what I'm really hearing from you now is like you're owning that decision. Like, and it's not landed yet, which is great, because it doesn't have to be. But it's like there's no one path for you.
Right.
because you're already kind of open to whatever. And I know you've got things you're working on there too, which is that you're going to want to see through. So that's, on the list. But that's
exactly.
Nice.
And I feel like it might not make sense to somebody else. I mean, someone would go, why would you want to do that? Or why would you, but you're this, why wouldn't you?
Right.
I'll try to explain it to you if you were honestly asking me, but at the end of the day, I'm the one that it has to make sense to, and people who rely on me and care about me. But
yeah, that's that confidence there, that internal executive presence.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. What did I not ask that you wanted to talk about today or share? Anything?
I think I would just say that if you are struggling, if you are thinking about, trust yourself. If you're thinking, hey, there's something I need, trust yourself that you're not all alone out there. If you're feeling doubtful or things are feeling chaotic, or you're like, gosh, is there, I feel like there's more I could be doing. There probably is. And don't worry so much about the obstacles that are standing in your way. There's a way to do it. I'm a big believer in, if you have an idea, keep thinking about it. You'll find a way to get to it. So that's the one thing I would just say to anybody. If you're in leadership, you've already found a way. You've already overcome obstacles. So you can do the next one. So keep at it. And you're enough. So keep at it. That's the one thing I would say. So that's not really an answer to a question, but I'm proud of you is what I would say. So
I love that. You're enough. Yeah. You've already done it. So just keep it. That's right. It's like each layer of leadership brings a new layer of challenges. And it feels like, oh my gosh, I've never dealt with challenges because you haven't dealt with that level of them.
Yeah.
It's so easy to forget you dealt with the earlier level. So you can go
back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Relentless celebration, right?
Relentless. I love that.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. It's been such a joy to witness your development and your growth and see where you're headed. And I can't wait to see where the next 5 years takes you. And I'm looking forward to keeping in touch and staying connected throughout that. And thank you so much for being here and doing our first Facebook Live client interview with me today.
Thank you, Alida. This was really fun.
Yeah. All righty. I'm going to end the broadcast now. Here we go.
All righty. Thanks so much.